I'll try to keep this as casual as I can so that it will be much more comfortable for me to interact as well. And I do, like, for someone who is keen on speaking and knowing people, I do have some notes, just some key points. But basically, I'm going to talk about my whole journey from my childhood to where I am today. And I don't know if there's anything you can take away from that, but then this is the journey of my life. So yeah, I'm what a lot of people consider cocktail, and not the ones that you're thinking of right now. I was born to a Tibetan father, and my mother was Bhutanese. And unfortunately, I lost both of them at a very young age, where I was taught to, be your own person, be strong, be headstrong in life. And my mother's words were, no matter what life throws at you, you go through it with a smile on your face. Because that's what got me through in life. That has been my source of inspiration. My mother has been my biggest source of inspiration. And growing up, I was brought up in Nagaland, in Dimapur, till the age of 3. And after my father's demise, I moved back to Bhutan. And that's how, growing up as a teen without a father figure in my life, I had to teach myself things. I had to teach myself how to defend myself. I had to teach myself everything a father would teach their daughter. Because I have 2 siblings, and I thought, okay, if they don't have that father figure in their life, I'll be both for them. I'll be their mother, and I'll be their father as well. And that has helped me be very strong, be very headstrong in facing the world. And that doesn't help when you come out as gay, in a society like Bhutan. That doesn't help at all. And I had my share of struggles as well, which I'll get to later on. So yeah, we're going on strong in this next start. And I went, at the age of 15, I went through my questioning period, where I thought I wasn't, normal. I felt different about who I was. And there was a lot of questioning going on, whether I'm gay, or whether I'm straight, or whether I was bisexual for that point. And that's when I figured, because I was already dating a guy, You know how a lot of us go through that bisexual phase, or like once in your life. And I went through that phase. And I was quite keen on learning about what gender sexuality was, what the LGBT community was about. And that's when I went on the journey of finding who I was. But that doesn't come easy to most of us. Most of us are born with, most of us have resources where we can reach out and be like, do you think there's something going on with me? But I didn't have that, because I wasn't courageous enough to go up to someone and be like, I feel different. So can you help me out with that? I didn't have that kind of resources to reach out on. So at the age of 15, I finally came out as bisexual on social media, and to a few of my friends. So after that, the term bisexual didn't really sit right with me, because I tilted more towards my own gender. Because, women, they are one masterpiece, like they are a piece of art. And then there are some beautiful men out there. That's a fact. There's some beautiful men out there. But then I felt, that romantically feeling towards my own gender. And that's when I was like, oh, okay, I'm not bisexual, so I might be gay. And then that's when I came out on social media, again, claiming that I was a proud gay woman. And at that period, initially, there wasn't a lot of out there people in Bhutan. We had organizations like Queer Voice of Bhutan, we have Pride Bhutan, but when I came out, I didn't know anything about that. So it was a struggle on my behalf about learning who I was, what my purpose in life was, because in growing up, having to be the parent figure in my siblings' life, I lost track of who I was. And I was on a journey to find that meaning in life. I wanted to know who I am. And that journey came with a lot of toll on my mental health as well, because I started working at a very young age, which was 15. I started modeling when I was 15. And you know how the modeling industry is. They put you up against each other in a way. We are not treated as individuals sometimes. You're like, oh, have you seen this model? She's like way taller than you. She's like way prettier than you. And that sense of inferiority and insecurities were built in me by the people surrounding me, by the people that I trusted. And that is a huge thing for me to deal with, and then that created insecurities, that negativity I had for myself. Because I always believe, like negativity coming from people around you, it doesn't really matter to me now, because every one of us are like entitled to our own opinions. Some people, they're thinking I'm not good enough, doesn't really make a huge difference on me, because I know my self-worth now. And that took a lot for me to realize about how much I was worth. And the whole modeling thing started just for the fun of it. I was like, why not try something new? Because I've always been on a journey where I wanted to try everything new. I wanted to have my feet in everywhere I go. And that took a toll on me when I started gaining a little weight, and there's nothing wrong with that. But then the negativity and insecurities that was building up in me told me that you're not going to become anywhere if you're gonna gain weight. You're not gonna become anywhere. Have you seen these new faces that are turning up in the industry? You are easily replaceable. And that's true, we are replaceable. But then we should know that there will always be someone better than us. But then you are you, and that's what makes you unique. And I realized that after going through a lot of hardships, I went, all those negativity led to me self-harming a lot. It led to a lot of negative thoughts. But then that's the thing about negative thoughts. You can't really control it. As much as I didn't want to think about all those, it kept on coming back to me. And that was the hardest part, because I wanted to live. I wanted to survive in a society that doesn't allow you to. Especially especially at a very young age, when you're very out there about your sexuality. I've always been a very loud person. I've always been very loud about my opinions, whether people don't like it or not. I've been like, screw you. This is my opinion. I didn't say anything about your opinion. So who are you to be able to judge my opinion on that? So yeah, from there, I had the will to survive. I wanted to live, but then my thoughts didn't let me. And what kept me going was my motivation, my will to survive, to make a difference for my country and for the community that I was coming from. That was a string of hope that made me see the next sunrise every single day. And I'm proud of that, and I take pride in that. Thank you. So I've always been jumbling between careers. So from modeling, it all ended up to pageants. And then that, I felt like it's a very superficial thing, having pageants. I mean, like modeling alone is enough to, make you feel very less about yourself. And then pageantry, but then what surprised me was it helped me realize who I am. Because in every pageant that I have competed in, I have realized I was the only gay person there. And that was the representation we needed for a proud gay woman to be in the middle of straight people and be like, this is who I am, and look what I'm amongst you guys, and then I'm here for a difference. I'm here with a strong advocacy that each and everyone around the universe can relate with. And from pageants, what I realized was there will always, like I said, there will always be someone better than you, and that's when I realized I'm me, and that's what makes me beautiful, because all of us are beautiful in our own way. That has been my lifelong motto. No? Be beautiful in your own way, and I have that attitude on me. So from pageantry, I shifted my career choice to more of an acting. I moved into the acting industry, and it helped me a lot in the kind of representation I wanted to put out there, because for people like us, we need that representation on media as well. We need someone like us to look up to. Because if you want artists from every field to thrive in their choice of career, you need that representation in those fields. And for me, I had the opportunity and the privilege to do that representation, from modeling to pageantry to acting. And then I don't know why people call me an influencer, which I don't really agree with, because I don't know if I can even influence someone. But yeah, from there, after the whole questioning period started, I went through a roller coaster of sexualities, from being bisexual, and then there was a time when I felt like I was a trans man as well, because I was more masculine than all of my other, pageant sisters. I was more masculine in a way, and then I portrayed myself in a very masculine manner. So that, I feel like I've always been confused, and I was the source of that confusion, because I didn't need to, prove to people who I am, because as long as I know my worth, as long as I know who I am, that's the only thing matters, and that's where acceptance comes from. Because you don't need people to accept you. You need, but then let me get there. Acceptance starts from you first, because you're not coming out for anyone, you're coming out for yourself. Then it's in the hands of people if they want to accept you or not. But then acceptance comes from within first. And that's why you have to come out for yourself, not for anyone else. And from there, I realized my gender expression had a quite hampered me in my daily choice of career, because when it comes to pageant, I'm supposed to be very dainty, and I'm supposed to be very feminine, which didn't really sit right with me. And then in my personal day-to-day life, I chose a more masculine choice of fashion, and then that didn't really mix well. And then that's when I came across androgynous, and then that's when I started not advocating, but that's when I started representing as a very androgynous gay woman. From there, after a lot of bringing myself down, a lot of self-questioning, questioning my self-worth, my whole existence as a human. And that's the worst feeling any of us can go through. It all led to a point where all those unresolved emotions, all those feelings, got too much for me to handle, that I went through a path where most of us don't return. I went through a very dark phase in my life where I wanted to end everything. And then I almost did it, thrice, I almost did it. But then every time I was on the verge of doing it, I always had, at the back of my mind, I've always been like, all this work I've put into all these years, it would go down the drain if I end up deciding to do it. So that's when I realized I don't need anyone's validity. I was valid, and then all of us walk different paths in life. All of us have our own struggles, and then my struggles looked like a speck when I compared it to someone else's. So if I was scared, and if I was not courageous, not confident enough to live through a small speck of struggle, then who am I? What is my purpose? What was all this work for? What was all those endless nights of crying myself to sleep, of trying to better myself? What was all those work for? And that's when I had self-love for myself, because I knew at the end of the day, I'm the only person who's going to bed with me. I'm leaving. At the end of your life, you're the only one who's going to stand up for yourself. You will have people motivating you and be like, be strong, be strong. But then we do that a lot, right? You're like, oh, it's fine, you're gonna be fine. That's like a very normal thing to say, even though you don't mean it. Like, it's fine, you're gonna be strong. So I created that space for myself where I can, invite other people as well who didn't feel safe in the kind of area and society they were living in. So that's when I came to a point where I wanted to meet all these young adults. Even though I was a teenager myself, I wanted to meet all these young adults, form a group, and be like, this is the space that you are looking for all your life. You can come up to me, you can talk to me, because I know where you're coming from. I have firsthand seen both sides of what our society can do to people like us. And that's when the whole self-love journey started, and that's when for the first time, I felt like myself. I felt full. I didn't feel like an empty glass. I felt like I was full of life. I felt like I was full of energy. I was content with what I was receiving, because at a young age, when you are given so much responsibility on your shoulder, people tend to break. And I almost broke. I was on the verge of it. But I made it through, and there's a lot of people who don't see the next day because they break. And then I want to create that space for all of us, because I believe that queer kids need happy queer adults too, So let us be that generation where we help these people to hear their voice and see these stories. Let us be that generation to change society and their fixed labeled box that they put us in. Let us be that generation. And as a 15-year-old, now when I think about it, I would really want to go back and tell my 15-year-old younger self, buckle up, we're gonna go on a roller coaster ride, we're gonna, have a marathon to the future, because there's a lot of things to do. There is a lot of things to do, and you need to queer figure in media and in society to represent the whole community as a whole. Because when I saw articles about myself, and when I saw pictures of myself in magazines, I've always told myself, girl, you have done it, we are here. But now I realize that I'm not here. There's a lot of things that we need to emphasize on, we need to do, because I realized it was only a chapter of the whole book I was trying to finish. And seeing articles that stated Tashi Choden, Miss Universe Bhutan, a proud gay woman, an LGBT advocate, will be having their first debut from a small country like Bhutan on the Miss Universe pageant. That was a power move for me. That was the moment I strived for more. I was hungry for more, because I had a bigger audience, a bigger platform to advocate on something that I was so passionate about. And that's how the whole thing left. And I am featuring in the first Bhutanese movie in the history of Bhutanese cinema, where you can see two homosexuals, two proud gay women having a makeup session. So cheers to that. That was a very proud moment for me. So yeah, I was supposed to say more, but then I can't sum up my whole life journey in a 15-minute talk. And I'm open to talking about it more if you guys want to listen. And yeah, so I'll just end on a note. Let's normalize queerness and build or pave that path for every artist in every field to thrive and then to succeed. Just remember that this world molds and shapes us into who we are. But we have to remember that that's not you. You are in charge of your own destiny. You are in charge of you are in charge of your destiny. But then you know deep inside who you are and what you're destined to be and what you're destined to accomplish. And yeah, cheers to this conference, and thank you for having me. Thank you.
Okay, I just quickly wanted to first say that within the queer community, I feel that certain identities are less represented. And since I've been working alongside activists and I've been meeting people, I have met trans men and been knowing their issues and everything. But even in Pakistan, gay women are not accessible, they're not comfortable. And I feel that it is very important for us to understand that some identities need more representation. So listening to your story, I found it inspiring because in some countries and in some kind of identities, you do not have a lot of community, you don't have a lot of support, and the reason is that yes, there might be more gay women or particular kind of identity, but they're more scared. Okay, so in some countries, some identities are more scared, but in other countries, other identities are scared. I feel that you had to pick yourself up and be very, very independent. And I was just wondering the whole time that did you have any support from other gay women, or did you support other gay women, or did you find a change? Can you breathe openly more? Can other people breathe openly more? And were actually, because when you have gay friends, right, it becomes easier. Was it easy for you?
Coming out to my friends was like way more easier than coming out to my parents, and I think that's a fact for all of us. But yeah, I came out as gender fluid. I'm gender fluid though. So a lot of the people in my community, they don't really understand what gender fluid is, and that's like fine, because what society knows is there's lesbian women, gay men, and bisexual women or men. And these are the only three terms that society is, these are the three terms that people only know. But they don't know that there's a lot of umbrella terms, And when I first came out as gender fluid, I had a lot of people from my community who didn't accept me as well. And then that took a hard toll on me as well, because when you're looking for acceptance from outside, from your friends, and then they dismiss that's like a huge deal to someone like us, because we don't have that acceptance from our family as well, and then society. So on top of that, if your friends don't have that acceptance towards who you are, then that makes you question yourself more. You're like, am I supposed to be here? So for me, coming out to my friends were much more easier than coming out to my community, because I didn't have a lot of acceptance. And then that's why whatever interview or whatever session I'm invited to, I make it a point, in a certain way, I make it a point, I talk about my gender as well, because it's good for people like us. I don't think there's a lot of gender fluid people in Bhutan. I know very, very few, very, very few, 2-3 people who identifies as gender fluid. And all of us have different meanings to what our gender means to us. And all of us it was the same issue with us. So we ended up, rather than accepting each other, we ended up having a whole debate about what it means to us, what our gender was about. But for me, I was privileged in a way enough to have more accepting people than people who opposed my agenda. So it was quite easy for me.
Okay. I hope
I answered.
Yes. I hope you inspire other people, other androgynous people. So proud of you. Thank you.
Thank you.